Okay guys, welcome everybody to the Monday webinar. This is the kind of the weekly outlook. Everything that I think looks semi-interesting to very interesting, we're going to discuss. We've got some good stuff to talk about. I always like to double check, is audio and video coming through okay for everyone? I can't even type, but you can imagine that I'm typing audio and video. All right, okay. All right, nice to see everyone, and of course some of the regulars. Tom, good to see you. Gustavo, and we've got Ralph and Alex and Chris and Firmino and just everybody. Nice to see you all. Very, very happy Monday evening, afternoon, evening to you all. Let's get started. Okay, so just a quick look. Remember that for anybody that is interested in seeing more of how we trade and how we do all of this, you can go to daytradersfx.com. That'll take you right to this page, and you can get a 5-day free trial just clicking on this Join Us button right there. That'll take you right here, and you can get a 5-day free trial to our live trading group. Free trial, 5 days, no problemo. That'll include some mobile trade alerts, access to the website where I post trades, and then of course 24-hour access to our live trading room, which will be excellent. So we'd love to have you. Go have a look over there if you'd like to get a free trial, and we'd welcome you this week. It's a good time to get a free trial too, because it's right at the beginning of the week. You can get a full run for the week. Okay. First thing I like to talk about on Monday is number one, how fantastic it is to have a nice little weekend to take a break, but I'm always happy to be back to the charts. You know, Sunday night, Monday morning, I always like coming back to the charts and checking on everything, and we have definitely some good things in the works, so let's talk about what those are. But first of all, let's talk real quick about some of the news we have coming out this week. Monday, remember we always have, or not always, but we can definitely have some Aussie news in the evenings right around the time that we're finishing up the wrap-up session. So we always have to keep an eye on that. So today we saw new home sales for the U.S. Earlier this morning came out a little bit worse than expected. Not a whole lot of reaction to that. We have some business confidence news coming out for Australia tonight. Tomorrow we have durable goods, which is a good mover for the U.S. We'll be up bright and early for the U.S. session, 5 a.m. chat time. Also overnight we have some preliminary GDP numbers for the U.K. That's a bit of a mover, so we'll keep an eye on that. And we also have consumer confidence in the U.S. tomorrow. Wednesday, the FOMC statement. That's always a little bit of a mover. We have some news coming out of Central Bank of UK, the Bank of England. We have New Zealand interest rate announcements. Thursday, home sales, trade balance, a whole bunch of good stuff. And Friday, we have a couple of good things as well. So we have a pretty good week of news coming up ahead of us, which is always nice. It gets markets moving, gets things kind of going and trucking and so on. Okay, so I'm going to spend about 10 seconds talking about the euro dollar and what I think might be interesting here. And so far, the only thing that I am slightly keeping an eye on the euro dollar, it's a choppy mess. It's a horrific choppy mess, and I don't really know when this pair is going to start moving again normally, but it might be a really long time before it happens. I don't even know anymore. I've forgotten what it's like when the euro dollar does anything that's worth keeping an eye on, because it's been so sideways and choppy lately. We have a little bit of a rising wedge here, and that's honestly about it. We have a couple of missed daily pivot points down here that go back quite a ways that are nice little targets to aim for, but overall the euro dollar is still just looking crazy uninteresting. We've got a couple of long wick candles. You can see this guy right here. This is let's go back to the daily chart. Daily chart, we have a really nice reversal candle. This is a huge shooting star, which is always worth keeping an eye on the daily charts. So I personally am not taking any trades at the moment on the euro dollar. But if I were, I would definitely consider shorting against this high right here, which is at 137.40. That's about 65 pips away. I'd put some stops above that little shooting star right there, get in a little bit closer to it probably, and just look and see if we can test this trend line again and start hitting some of these missed targets down here at 135.00 and 134.50. So I'm bearish euro dollar, but not enough to take a trade. So that's just all I want to say about that one real quick. So again, no major outlook on euro dollar, but I do like the pound dollar quite a bit. I don't know if we have many pound dollar traders in here, but we have made some pretty fantastic trades on some of these pound pairs over the last little bit. So a couple to look at real fast here is remember, if we look at the 1 hour chart on the pound dollar, we had a beautiful little bull flag right here that happened Friday of about 10 days ago Friday, so that's January 17th. Nice little bull flag. You can see our little descending action right there. The thing broke out and we grabbed tons of pips on that run up. Super great trade there. So if you don't like the pound dollar, you should like it after that trade. And then the pound dollar started to turn and made a nice little run down and hit this 200 moving average and kind of bounced a little bit off of that. So that being the case, this thing still looks pretty interesting on two fronts. These are the things. Remember, we're kind of talking about a bit more of a we're talking about a little bit more of a weekly outlook on this pound dollar, what I'm going to be looking for and aiming for and so on. So this isn't what's going to happen right now. This is what I'm looking at, today and tomorrow and so on. Right now, the pound dollar has a huge, beautiful rising wedge. Hold on. How's the audio coming through? Is it getting a little bit loud at some points? Is it peaking, so to speak? Is the audio coming through all right? I'm getting a lot of red on this thing saying that I might be a little bit too loud. Okay, coming through good. All right, excellent. So again, on a larger outlook here on this pound dollar, we have this big rising wedge. This is a daily chart. These lows go all the way back to July of 2013. So we're talking, a good 6-7 months here. And this thing has just been running. And now it's starting to pull nicely away from the 200 moving average to a point that we're getting concerned about it being a little bit overbought. We have some great targets down here. I want everybody to just remember, ingrain in your memory 16200 and 16050. These are the only two targets anybody needs to think about when referring to the pound dollar. 16200, 16050. Now, the question that we have here on the pound dollar is, how are we going to be able to enter this? What are our entry criteria? How are we going to work this situation out? So what I'm going to be doing here is looking for one of two things. First of all, we have this high of January, so far anyway, of January, which is at 166.66. So it's a lot of sixes in there. It might be a devilish level to be looking at, but we're doing it anyway. So we have this nice little high here at 166.666 that we will be looking for a couple of things. Leo, if you can't see my screen, there is a full screen and a minimum screen button at the top right hand corner of the chat. And if that doesn't work, just log out and log back in again. Should fix it. Okay, so at this 166.66 level, I'm going to look for a couple of things to happen. Number one, if this guy breaks and makes a run for it, then we've got some bigger upper targets to be aiming for that I'm not super excited about, but we could get there, and you never know. We have our high of 2011 back here at 167.50, which is a very realistic target. And then we have some highs back here of 2009 that go all the way up to 170.50 area. But I think we have a fair-ish chance of possibly getting to this 167.50. And if it breaks this 166.66 area, then that should be our target, 167.50. Now, it's only about 100 pips, but that would be the target I'm going to be looking for. But here's the thing I want to point out here. Look at this weekly chart on the pound dollar. We've had all these candles and all these crazy things happening right here, and you see this weekly candle. Now remember, the larger the time frame, the more we put weight on candles and price patterns. And this is a huge shooting star. This thing this thing shot up and then totally reversed and left us a big shooting star in the weekly chart. Now that's pretty significant. That means that we have a very high likelihood of getting some sort of double top or being able to short against this 166.66 level. So what I'd like to see happen is like to see this pound dollar chop around a little bit and eventually test that 166.66 area and test it, bounce, and then let's look to short as close to that area as possible after it's bounced with our stops up above that 166.66. So I'm looking for just a simple double top here, and I'll be shorting the pound dollar targeting 16200. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, which is that is probably going to be a 450 pip profit target, and yes, it probably will be. And I'll be sitting in the whole entire thing all the way down. If this continues to chop around and doesn't give us too much to work with, then I'll be looking at trading the break of 164.65 to short this, once again targeting 16200. Which only gives us about 250 pips, but I will feel pretty good about that and hopefully be able to hold on to this 160.50. So that would take us back into that 400 pip profit target area. So hopefully that makes sense. We're looking for a double top to short against that 166.66 or to sell the break of 164.65 area. In both cases targeting 16200 and 160.50. So that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on. Otherwise, in the short term, there's nothing too interesting to me, anyways, at this point about the pound dollar short term. So both of these levels are, you know, about 100 pips away, and so that's nothing too big. But that could be going into, you know, tomorrow, even the next day before some of these start playing out. Questions, comments? Let me know on the pound dollar. Well, I wait for the 1 hour candle to close to get in under the trend line break. Good question, Ray. And on this one, no. I'm just going to put a pending order. This 166.65 area. I'm just going to put a pending order down there, 5 to 10 pips below. I think we could probably be safe doing like 164.55 as a pending order. So we don't need necessarily a candle to open. We can just throw a pending order in there, trade the break, and short right on through that. So yep, pending order. No need for candle to open there. Good question. Very good question. Okay. A couple of other details that I'm looking at. The Aussie dollar has definitely got my attention. Remember, we're looking at these longer term pictures here of what might be happening. Now, so far we've made a low, while the pound dollar has made a high in January, the Aussie dollar has made a low in January. Now, there's so much bearish news on the Aussie dollar. We keep hearing things about 85 cents. The Bank of Australia wants 85 cents, the exchange rate to be 85 cents. We've even heard some things about 80 cents. And so it makes it really hard for anyone to want to jump in and start buying the Aussie dollar. But we have so many missed pivot points and moving averages up here that the market needs to get back and test, that we're absolutely looking for some buying opportunities. So again, for a larger outlook here, we're probably going to need the Aussie dollar to break this. This is a big falling wedge right here. It's a big falling wedge. You can see how wide it is here, and the Aussie just kind of keeps narrowing and narrowing and narrowing. So it's going to have to get somewhere above probably 88. Above 88.50 before we have the entry, so it's going to need about 100 pips of upward movement. We need to get some momentum here on this Aussie dollar. So above 88.50, I'm pretty much right around there. I'm long Aussie dollar, and I'm targeting at least 89. Well, we have a daily pivot at 89.20. That's not going to be enough to get me out, so I'm going to target at least 89.90, but ultimately my big target is 92.35. 92.35 on the Aussie dollar. So again, you might be saying to yourself, that's a nice 400 pip run. Yes, it is, and I really hope we get it because it's going to be beautiful. Now, if we end up getting a bounce here, and this thing comes right back to this 86.55 area, I will take a double bottom entry as well. So we need this to bounce and kind of hit that and then head up. If it hits and bounces, then I'm long against 86.55 with stops just below 86.55 after a little bit of a bounce, and I'll be targeting 89.20 and 89.90. and those would probably be my two more immediate targets. If we get a break of this huge pattern, I'm going for 92.35. If we just get a double bottom, I'm shooting for 89.20 and 89.90 as my profit targets. Now, the other big question remains here. What if this thing breaks 86.55 and starts heading lower? Well, then we have got some stuff to aim for there. You can see that we're at kind of lows right now, so we start getting into the lowest part of 2010, and that's about 80-60, that's about 80-50, 80-60 area, so that could be a great target as well. So we're sitting right on that level. Let's be ready for a break. If it gets below 86.55, then we may have a big, huge short opportunity to target, at least 8,500 and potentially beyond. So there might be a little, 150 pip profit target that we can shoot for there. But ultimately, this thing is pretty heavily oversold, and ultimately I'm looking for a bounce or breakout to the upside to start buying this thing up towards the 89.90 area, which I think should be able to get hit a bit sooner than later. So that's what I'm looking for. Of course, I'm going to post these notes, and I'll have this all up and running. And this webinar is recorded, and I will send it out to everybody that is in attendance today. It will also be posted on the website, so you guys will be able to see all that stuff there. That's the Aussie dollar. Questions, comments on the Aussie dollar? Let me know. Let me know. Let's talk about this Euro Aussie for just a moment. This guy's getting pretty interesting. The Euro is looking pretty stagnant and pretty flat, and the Aussie might just have a little bit of room for some correction to the upside, which would make the Euro Aussie super, super interesting for a nice little short. And yes, Adrian, yeah, if the pound goes down and the Aussie goes up, the pound Aussie is a great pair to look at. So anytime we have that kind of a thing, like Euro Aussie, Euro dollar making a run and Aussie dollar making a run in the other direction, or Euro dollar and pound dollar running in opposite directions, definitely go to those cross pairs and look for any kind of setups there. Absolutely, positively, 100%. So this Euro Aussie is giving us a big, huge, wonderful setup as well. For those of you that don't like looking at these larger time frames, you are missing out, because we have some big stuff in the works. We have a huge rising wedge, again, a big reversal pattern. We have tons of missed targets down here. This thing is so overbought, it is ridiculous. So what we need to look for here is this could potentially be our high, the high of January, which in this case is 158. It's just about 158.30. That is going to be an area to watch. So watch for a double top there and be prepared to short against that double top. Otherwise, we have kind of a long ways to go before we're going to get much of a sell entry. So I'm going to come back to this one, later in the week and so on, but I'm absolutely watching for a double top at 158.30 to short this and target 15200 and 150. We still have to get 150 hit, which is once again a huge, huge, huge profit target, and I'm going to be looking for that. So double top off that 158.30. Targeting 15200, but ultimately targeting 150. I think we're well overdue for that run into 150. So I'm ready, willing, and waiting on that one. Let's have a quick little look at the pound yen and what I think might happen here. We had a great trade on the pound yen going into the weekend. You can see that I had all these notes on pound dollar and pound yen and all this good stuff here. And Aussie, we had a nice bear flag on the Aussie yen that paid out awesome. You can see that we short below 171.20, targeting 170 and 16800. Well, look what this pound yen did. Here's our 170. Did I say 171.20? Or did I say 170? Because if I said 171.20, then that's even more amazing. I did say 171.20. So that was kind of the neckline of our little 4-hour head and shoulders pattern right here. So you can see that we had a nice little short at that break of 171.20. You can see that level right there. So the pound yen just moved like crazy, 330 pips below that. This was going into Friday trade, so I made some fantastic pips on this pound yen. It was beautiful and or gorgeous. I loved every second of it. So there was a really nice entry there on that little neckline break. Yeah, good for me. Now I hope you got some of that. That was, man, that thing was such a rad mover. That was just great pips. I think I might only pull 200 pips out of it because it retraced a bit on me, but not a bad little mover there. But the pound yen, what it's done here is it's broken out of a huge rising wedge. This is a big rising wedge. We have a bunch of missed targets down here that need to get hit. And so we've broken out of that, and you can see that it's pulling back to that trend line. This is very, very common to see happen. Pulling back to that trend line, as long as it stays below this trend line, we still have sell opportunities. It's just kind of retracing, really. If you draw a little bit of fib action in here, like that, you can see that we're still well below that 50% fib, which is at 170.70. So what I'm going to be looking to do on this pound yen is I've drawn just a little simple trend line in here, and I'm going to look for this trend line to break, and if it breaks this trend line, I'm putting my stops above this high, and probably, I think we could probably safely go above the fib level as well, but if you want to just put it above the high, that should work as well. The high of the day, which is at 170.50, we'll say 170.55, go just a little bit above that. We're going to be looking at about a 50 pip stop, but we have a very nice profit target, namely the daily pivot of today and the daily pivot of yesterday, which is 100. One's about, well, one's only about 30 pips away, but the next one's about 170 or 80 pips away, and I think that's going to be a great target, and I think we have a nice opportunity to start shorting this pound yen down into, you know, some of these bigger levels, 168 and so on. Once again, once again, you can see the notes there on that pound yen to short 171.20, targeting 168.00, and you can see that this little guy hit 167.77. So such beautiful pips, so many profit targets taken out there, and I think we're going to have another opportunity with the break of this trend line and shorting this thing just below. I'm going to be looking to short this thing at the break of probably 169.95. So it's pretty close, about 20 pips below where it currently is. I'll be shorting the pound yen, targeting that 168.30 area. So I think that's a great opportunity, once again, with stops right above this high here. So great trades on pound dollar setting up. Great trade on the Aussie dollar setting up. Great trade on the Euro Aussie with that little double top setting up. And then we have probably the most immediate trade is this pound yen right here. We have a little breakout, a little trend line break to take, and I will happily jump into some of that and go for it. Those are the pairs that I think are the most interesting moving forward. The Euro dollar has minor interest. Pound dollar, big interest there. Aussie dollar, big interest. Euro Aussie, big interest, and pound yen, big interest. So, does anybody have any questions? Are there any pairs you really want to look at that I have not covered? I've only covered 4 pairs today because I think they have kind of the best profit target and profit potential out of anything currently. So, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. But again, questions, comments you guys might have. Now remember, as the week goes on, I'm definitely going to be mentioning other pairs, but I just don't see anything that I'm as interested in right now as I am in the pound dollar, Aussie dollar, Euro Aussie, and pound yen. I think those are going to be some of the better setups for the week. But tomorrow we're going to cover other pairs, and the day after that we'll cover other pairs, and I'll be adding to it as the week goes, which is a great reason why everybody should get a free trial to the trading group so that you can kind of see some of the things that we that we add as the week goes, because there's definitely going to be some nice little setups in the works. Shirley, for coming in just late there. This is recorded and I will send it out to everybody. So make sure you follow me on Twitter, guys. Follow me on Twitter and I will send out this video, and make sure that you are on my emailing list. If you're not on the email list, just go to daytradersfx.com. A little box will pop up to say put your email in, and you will be on the emailing list. I'm going to send this video out on email, and you can also follow me on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter. You're going to get all of the updates right there on Twitter. So make sure you're following me there and you're on the emailing list. And again, this is recorded, and it will be sent out as soon as I'm done there. Let's see. Carolyn, this is the missed pivot indicator that we give out to everyone for free, so I can send it over to you, and Carolyn, we can even put this on your charts and see if we can get it working. But if you don't have the missed pivot indicator, I'll make sure to send that to you, and you can put that on there. Okay, all right, okay. Remind me, Carolyn, send me a private message, and I will. I'll send you a couple of details on that. We'll see if we can get it working. Okay, thanks, guys. That's all I'm looking for right now. I'm going to get this recording formatted, and I will send it out to everybody. And for all the members of the group, I'm going to post notes as well. But for everyone else, you can watch the recording and write some notes down and go for it. Thanks a million for being on with us. It is always a pleasure to have you all. And I look forward to having you guys with us next Monday. And hopefully we'll get some people joining us this week on some free trials. We've got some great stuff to talk about this week. Thanks again, everyone. Take care.